What is up? What is up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Check this out. This is the last and final part of M's guest house. And if y'all didn't see part 1 or part 2, go back and check that out, man. And we're gonna have links and everything so you can stay up. It's great if you check this stuff out, you know, in order. But at the end of part 2, I was saying that I really don't believe in this type of stuff and everything. But actually, man, I kind of do believe in it because I'm getting ready to go on vacation and I'm getting on a plane. And I believe that if you got 3 different feelings from 3 different people who have said something to me about death. Yeah. So I must believe because I'm changing my airline ticket. I'm changing my airline ticket because I feel as though something bad is going to happen. And I also feel as though that if I talk about it, if I say it out of my mouth, then it don't happen. I really believe that. So that's why I'm saying something to you guys so it won't happen. You feel me? So I got too many different things that's going on in 1 week that I'm supposed to be gone. So I'm changing the ticket and it's going to cost me money. It's going to cost me to change this ticket, right? So I just wanted to share that with y'all. They say deaths happen in 3s and all this stuff. And I got this gut feeling, man. I got this, everybody should be a little afraid to fly. Does that make sense? And for some reason, something is not feeling right for the last couple of days, man. And then I got a text from somebody at my job saying something about the flights and I'm not even gonna get into all that. But anyway, y'all hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. This is part 3, y'all. Let's check it out. Here we go. Just to catch y'all up, they using equipment to talk to the dead or talk to spirits and different things like that. Maybe I need that equipment. They tell me not to get on this plane.
Big a couple of times. Big as in famous or big statured?
Hideous.
Big ugly men? Are you talking big like obese?
They were drinking at the time.
They were drinking at the time in Mexico. So these big drunk hideous men would come in? Famous or big statured?
Hideous.
Big ugly men? Are you talking big like obese?
They were drinking at the time.
They were drinking at the time in Mexico. So these big drunk hideous men would come in? Can you tell me anything?
Please stay.
Can you tell me anything about their jobs?
Inmate.
Inmate. Weisenheimer? Wisenheimer? Elizabeth I. What the fuck? I mean, we're in London right now. Isn't that a little strange? Whatever that would mean. Inmate. You felt like an inmate in there? I mean, just please tell me a little bit.
I was.
This is like really freaky, y'all. I'm trying to...
In the dark.
What did these men do for work? Did they ever tell you?
On the floor.
Oh, that's disturbing.
They were
So these men assaulted you.
soldiers.
So these men assaulted you in the upstairs? On the floor is crazy. And acupuncture and prayer. Did you pray to God that he would get you out of this? Accumulation. Before we go, what did these men do for work? Did they ever tell you anything? We're trying to figure out.
One of them.
Gordian? Gordian? What did the one person tell you?
Nope.
Please tell us. We need to know so that we can spread your story.
Bad view. bad?
Like a cop? Police person? I should add, I'm the one that's done all the research on this story, which is why Connor is doing this, because he knows virtually nothing about what happened here at this point. They exist? Alright, we're gonna have to get going. Megabit?
Your Majesty.
Is there anything else you can tell us about the men that...
Give me that baby. At home, just checking. He wants, he likes.
Dislike her. It's talking about a woman a lot that they don't like. D-I-G-R-A-M. D-gram. You said, give me that baby. Just please tell me this isn't true, but were there infant children that were taken advantage of here?
Past it.
Disagree.
Past what?
You were not listening.
Disagree.
Hello.
The favorite son.
Copernicus? Alright. Well, we're gonna have to go. We have some more places we...
Big up Sarita.
Can you tell us anything? Were there...
Time will tell.
Time will tell. Were there politicians here? Lakeside. Were there politicians and celebrities?
The whole lot.
The whole lot. They were all here? Any other message before we're done?
Orphan.
That's crazy.
Probably.
I'm so... Stigmata. I'm so sorry about everything that happened to you.
We cannot believe it.
I can't believe it. I really can't. But we're doing this and trying to talk about this. Collocated? C-O-L-L-O-C-A-T-E-D?
The horror.
Browbeaten? We're doing this to help spread awareness so that your story is known. So thank you for talking to me, alright? We're gonna get you some justice.
Oh my god. That light's so bright.
That was f***ing insane.
Really?
Himalayas. There's just so much that just happened.
Really?
So much that makes sense. It's hard to even talk about all of it. Seems like kids were abused and murdered here. You don't even know this, but there's a school called Grafton something school. And that's where the children, a lot of them, it's said...
I said Grafton, didn't I?
Yes. And that's where a lot of the kids, that's literally where we're going next. Anthony. That's
Wow.
I thought I heard either Grafton or grabbed him.
Yeah, no. Grafton is where we're literally going next, and I haven't even told Connor where we're going tonight. Spell.
Yeah, I really don't know much about this story.
And that's where the kids that were here, some of them came from, is this Grafton school. And the leaders of this school were March. They were arrested for crimes against kids, and they were terrible people.
Jeez.
That was a really disturbing session.
I wish I knew what I was saying.
A lot of shit. Sadly, it seems like we're correct that this all happened.
Well, shall we go to the next spot?
Yeah.
Wow. So now they're going to the next
So
spot.
as you just saw in that last clip, we are now only a 4-minute
use the
drive away
machines?
from the old Elms guest house. Literally 4 minutes away. This behind me is the St. Paul's School campus. This is a very prestigious university and school here in London, and it's also the site of one of London's most notorious and disturbing sexual scandals. As it turns out, decades after all this happened, in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s, a number of different members of the faculty here at the St. Paul's School turned out to be pedophiles. There was a choir teacher who was paying children to allow him to them. There were teachers that were having relations with kids. There were dorm leaders that were beating and assaulting children, and all sorts of just terrible things that were happening here. A lot of people have alleged also that because boys were being trafficked from other schools in the area over to the Elm guest house, this would have been a ripe field for picking for these predators to take some of the boys that may have been enrolled here, drive them 4 minutes over. It's not a crazy thought to think if there was a choir teacher here that was paying kids to allow him to do whatever he wanted to them, why wouldn't that happen 4 minutes down the road? If the same kids had already been groomed and brainwashed and beaten into that system and that frame of mind where they'd be willing to go forward with a plan like that, or just blindly trust these adults and be led astray. Let's walk over here. And here it is. They got this place looking like Fort Knox for some reason at night. I don't know what the hell. No trespassing. Really strange. Jimmy Savile was also here. If you guys don't know Jimmy Savile, he's probably the most notorious predator in British history, with the victim count above 500. But yeah, right through that gate down there, that's St. Paul's School. No trespassing. I don't know why you can't drive up to it, but it is interesting, right? 4 minutes away, another gigantic scandal that inspired an entire police operation. 4 minutes away.
Interesting.
In the same time period as the Elms guest house. But what do I know? I'm just a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, there just happen to be two different rings running 4 minutes away from each other.
Yeah, totally random, right?
Yeah.
A city as big as London, 4 minutes away.
Yeah.
Funny, because in London, my friend Jackson lives in London. He still considers himself as living in London, but he's got an hour train ride every day to get to and from work. Just going to tourist destinations in London, it can be 45 minutes to get from one spot to the other, an hour drive from the airport to central London.
But this is 4 minutes away.
4 minutes away.
It's fucking crazy, man. And
This is shit that you would just never learn. You would never know. I never knew any of this until I started researching this story. It's almost like people don't want you to know these stories and don't want you to know that this shit happened. It's almost like they don't.
I cannot reiterate enough how insane it is that this is happening on people's front doorsteps here in London and they haven't got a clue. I mean, this is just like Epstein, but it's in London.
Same level of power.
And they've covered it up so well that people today have no clue what we're talking about.
Weird. I desperately need your help. For the past few years on social media, I've spent my time exposing global rings that have operated with complete immunity. Rings that were being run by rogue elements of the United States government. Rings that were enabled by government officials in countries like Belgium, France, and the Netherlands. And I've used my platforms to expose for what they really are, soulless creatures whose sole purpose in life is to harm children, the most valuable, precious thing in the world. And now I'm asking for your help to help me expose the biggest ring that I've ever encountered, with the help of a renowned investigative journalist and author, and a television producer who happens to be one of my closest friends. So to put this into perspective, if you guys have watched my content, if you've seen the paranormal files, the conspiracy files, even the videos I've posted on TikTok and Instagram, you're probably familiar with the name Frank Sheldon. Frank Sheldon was the Jeffrey Epstein of the 1970s. He was the head of a nationwide ring, a ring that involved publications that pushed child, fake churches that were used to get tax-exempt status for these, summer camps where children were invited to play and were then away from the prying eyes of their parents, and even Boy Scout troops that served as one-stop sex trafficking shops, where the wealthy and elite members of United States and international society could show up, pick a child they would like to abuse, and could then them with immunity. Time and time again, we've seen predators get away with these crimes with literally zero ramifications. We've seen predators escape justice. We've seen charges that were dropped. We've seen suspicious deaths, accidents that we know weren't accidents. And tens of thousands of children, victims of these evil, evil people, have been silenced over the years by a mass media that refuses to report on controversial issues like these. But back to Frank Sheldon. If you aren't familiar with the story, essentially he was running this nationwide
ring from a private island in Lake Michigan called North Fox Island. And when local authorities finally began looking into his case after dozens of complaints were made against him, somebody tipped Frank Sheldon off and he fled the country. That's right. He was responsible for the victimization of thousands, probably more like tens of thousands of children in the United States. Frank Sheldon was also accused of funding snuff films where children are murdered on camera, and it's been proven that he's been connected to multiple serial killers and possibly could be the one behind the Oakland County child killings, a series of 4 murders in Detroit, Michigan that still to this day remain unsolved because local authorities refuse to believe that this wasn't a lone wolf killer. Instead, these children's deaths were the result of the machinations of a disturbed ring. But anyways, Frank Sheldon was ousted as the leader of this ring. He fled the country before he could be caught, and essentially when you look online, that's where the trail ends. That's where the trail goes cold. Recently, about 6 months ago, I became friends with a man named 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦, who is an executive producer on the Hulu show Children of the Snow, a documentary series about the Oakland County child killings, and the author of the books While Idaho Slept, which profiles the murders of those 4 students in Idaho 2 years ago, and the book The 𝗗𝗢𝗡𝗞𝗦, which talks extensively about Frank Sheldon, the Oakland County child killings, and 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦's own connections to the story. Jay has gone incredibly deep on this story, and after publishing his book, The 𝗗𝗢𝗡𝗞𝗦, he was reached out to by dozens of victims of Frank Sheldon's that weren't from America. They were from a foreign country. That's right. While the internet says that Frank Sheldon fled to Amsterdam, lived a quiet life, and died, we know that that's not the case. In fact, when Frank Sheldon landed in Amsterdam, he began working with a notorious group of pedophiles to create one of the largest, if not the largest, international snuff film ring that's ever existed. We're talking here about horrific crimes against children. Children of all ages, 17 years old, 15 years old, 11 years old. Even babies and infants weren't off limits to this ring. That's right, there are documented reports, many reports, of babies being by these men on camera for their own sadistic pleasure. And none of these men were ever captured. None of these men were sentenced for these crimes. And to this date, there is no thorough documentary, there is no thorough book, there's no thorough reporting or research or anything about this story because it's a very damaging story. It's a story that implicates governments of the world. It's a story that implicates the authorities, the police, judges, politicians, priests, celebrities. This is one of the most complex stories that I've ever researched, but after spending the last few years diving deep into this, I'm ready to make the leap. And that's why I'm appealing to you today. As of today, we have launched a crowdfunding campaign to help bring this documentary series and book to life. Essentially, the documentary series that we're proposing will follow our investigation into the Frank Sheldon ring, will take us to multiple countries, and in the process, we will be knocking on the doors of some of these predators, showing you their faces, and exposing truths about this story that have never been documented. Jay, the author of The 𝗗𝗢𝗡𝗞𝗦, has hundreds of leads from victims who were victimized by Frank Sheldon and his cohorts, leads that authorities never investigated, leads that with this documentary series, we are planning on showing up and investigating ourselves. To this day, law enforcement, local authorities, politicians, and judicial branches refuse to look into these crimes. That's why we are creating this documentary series and writing this book so that this stuff can finally be exposed, so that people can learn about these horrific things that happen in our world, and hopefully so that we can put pressure on governments around the world to change, to wake up and realize that the people aren't going to take this anymore. We're no longer going to be complacent. Your time is up. So at the end of this whole thing, we're going to be producing a 7-part documentary series and also a full-length book which will go into even greater detail about these crimes. It will provide resources, it will show notes, documents, and it will help tell the full tale of these crimes so that hopefully we can hold some of these people accountable. There are still people that were involved in this whole thing that are still alive. Some of them are still in power. And with the book and this documentary series, we want to make these people squirm.
Since my book, The 𝗗𝗢𝗡𝗞𝗦, came out, talking about the Oakland County child killings, which happened outside Detroit in the 1970s, and the subsequent Hulu docu-series, Children of the Snow, which I executive produced based on what I wrote about in The 𝗗𝗢𝗡𝗞𝗦, millions of people know about this case. Millions of people talk about Frank Sheldon and Fox Island and the Oakland County child child killer syndicate of sickos. What people don't talk about is the thousands of notes that I've gotten in the last 6 years, whether they're DMs or emails or people who have found my phone or found other ways to contact me, talking about the horrific things that happened to them in the 1970s and 1980s too. And when I started to realize that the story I wrote sort of cracked open the Pandora's box of hurt and pain and suffering and whatever that all kinds of people around the world had experienced, since I realized that, the writing of the book, The Kill Jar, which was really important to me, became sort of secondary in some ways to the vast amount of stuff I didn't write about. Man, I just scratched the surface. It is one scratch on the table of infinite seeming table of sickos. It's like I wrote about something that mattered to me at the heart of who I am. I had to write this story, and then it came out and it blew up this case. Children of the Snow has been seen tens of millions of times, and yet what's interesting, so interesting to me, is that nothing has changed in terms of the networks and syndicates of sickos operating out in the world. Since my book came out, another book was written about the same case, then another book was written about the same case, and the TV show, and hundreds of podcasters and YouTubers and everybody talking about this case, or Frank Sheldon and the sickos out on Fox Island. But what people don't talk about is that Frank Sheldon absconded from Fox Island to the Netherlands and Amsterdam, continued to do what he was doing in the Michigan area. He has ties to India, and there's all these other networks of sickos operating like this in a web of crazy shit that none of us want to talk about and all of us want to talk about because it's the sickest goddamn thing you can ever imagine. I wrote one book, The Kill Jar. And the crazy thing is, the book very clearly identifies that the police buried evidence, covered up the story, and these sickos went on to do whatever the hell they wanted to do with no repercussions. Even though a couple of them were killed, nothing has changed. Everybody knows about this case. Nobody was held accountable for the Oakland County child killings. Nobody was held accountable for the Fox Island stuff. Nobody was held accountable for the shit that Frank Sheldon went on to do and die of natural causes without getting punished. He was elite. He was tied into the moneyed classes, the political classes. You know, we're talking about this shit now with like the P. Diddy's or the Jeffrey Epsteins or the whatever the fucks. All these people doing this shit under the gaze of all the people in power. Nobody ever gives a shit. Nobody ever does a goddamn thing. Most people know this is true. Most people know that this kind of shit happens. Here's the thing. I need to, and I'm about to, write the follow-up book to The Kill Jar. The follow-up book talks about the many, many, many messages I've gotten and attempts to link some of the stories of those people with the stories that we hear in the wider network of this stuff all the time. We're going to start with Frank Sheldon. I'm going to use him as a sort of centrifugal figure and unravel the web of these sick around the world. We're going to dive deep into all this shit. I'm talking not just a local story like the Oakland County child killing story was. I'm talking the macro. How does this little story exist in this world? Why does this happen? How can this be? Who lets this go? And the fact is, everybody lets this go. And there's nothing I hate more than people who take children from their fathers and mothers, people who take children from their families, people who take children from their homes, from their hearts, from their rightful place on this earth in peace, and expose them to the darkest shit you could ever imagine. There's nothing I hate worse than those people. And we're coming after you with this book. You, every one of you, this is what's going on. J. Rube is diving back into the shit that I swore I would never touch again, but there is nothing I hate more than people who take children from their homes. Every last one of you. I mean, the short version of why I'm writing this book, I mean, look, the short version is at some point you have to take a stand. What side are you on? Are you on the dark side? Are you on the light side? Who are you? Are you Satan or are you a piece of heaven? What do you want to be? What's your legacy? What do you want your legacy to be? I'm not a runner and a hider. I am very peaceful. I spend all of my time doing yoga, praying for spiritual enlightenment, doing all the right things. I eat right. I take care of my body. I love the people I love and I love them hard. And I offer myself. I give. When you come at me with darkness, I say to you, brother, think about what you're doing. When war comes to your door, you must fight it with war. You have to. You have no choice. You don't hide under the covers.
There you go.
Open it with a flamethrower. There's a battle being waged at every one of your doorsteps. You don't know it, but it's there. And it scares the shit out of me. And because it scares the shit out of me, I need to do something about it. There's nothing I hate more than people who take children from their homes. And with the amazing help of Colin, who is just a genius, someone who I have met not by accident, with Colin's help, we're going to do something really great. And I'm very excited about it. I think I owe it to the people who allowed me in the first place. I owe it to the people who have sent those thousands of messages over the last 6 years. I owe it to the people who found no resolution from the book and the TV show and the other books and all the podcasters and YouTubers talking about this case. I owe it to all the people who are actually victims. If I'm going to touch this shit to begin with, I've got to finish this shit with the real story, with the macro. It's not all about the micro. There's so much in the world tied to this original story that I wrote about. This book's gonna blow the lid off of a lot of that shit. I don't know what will become of this book, but I know it might be the most important thing I've written. And every last one of those sickos who want to take children from their homes. You, I'm done with your shit. If there's a God,
yes,
God is on my side with this story.
This has been a passion project of mine and of 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦's. This
I want to say also, shout out to my live stream. I didn't realize until we started doing a live stream and we started touching on different things, help people, help the kids. And so many people in my live stream has been through some type of abuse in their life. And I just want to say shout out to them. Some people came out. People are now putting their pictures up. Some people came on and talked. So if you have any hurt or pain or somebody you want to talk to, come to the live stream, man. We are a family of helping people and supporting each other, and that could be your starting point, just coming in and listening. You don't even have to participate in the chat. You don't have to come on. But we had two ladies that came on and they started sharing their story, and they said that they actually slept better the next day. I was like, wow. So I just wanted to put that out there. Let's continue.
I'm done with your shit.
F
if there's
you.
A God,
anybody that hurt anybody.
This has been a passion project of mine and of 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦's. This documentary series has been in the works for months now, and at this point we already have the plans, we know where we're going, we have the contacts, we know who we're going to talk to, and all we need is funding. Now, obviously a major studio is not going to fund or greenlight a project like this, which is why we're appealing to the people who watch my videos that really care about these sorts of things, you guys. Mass media doesn't care about rings. Government officials don't even want to talk about them. And that's why I'm here asking you guys to help me bring this thing to life. We can't do this without y'all, and we're offering some incredible benefits to those of you who do choose to help contribute to this project. For example, let's just run through a few of the tiers. If you donate $40, you will get a digital copy of the book and behind the scenes footage from the documentary series that no one else will ever see. The documentary series that we're proposing and planning on filming includes 7 episodes that will take us to 3 different countries. And in one of those countries, we've already worked with locals on the ground to identify a ring that's currently in operation. That's right, we're going to show up there to the hornet's nest with cameras and hopefully expose this thing and get it shut down. Your donation is going to help fund this documentary series, which is incredibly expensive to film, and it's also going to fund the book. With a $100 donation, you'll get a digital copy of the book and some signed photographs from the cast and crew. For $150, you'll get a digital copy of the book plus a signed poster for the documentary series. If you choose to donate $500, I will personally invite you to a Zoom call with myself, 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦, and my producer, Jay 𝗟𝗡𝗞𝗡, where we can talk about anything. You'll also receive a signed poster. And now's when we get to the fun tiers. If you donate $1,000, we'll put your name in the credits at the end of every episode of the show, and also invite you to a 30-minute Zoom call with the cast and crew of the documentary series, including me. If you donate $1,500, you will get access to an exclusive Paranormal Files episode that will never be shared anywhere else. This is an episode that I'm going to be filming exclusively for people that help contribute to this crowdfunding, and I want it to be a massive thank you to those of you who are so generous as to donate $1,500. I'm going to pick one of the most haunted places in America. Maybe I'll even ask you guys who donate where you'd like to see me go back and investigate with my whole family, and we'll make it happen, get the whole thing edited, and then send you a private link to enjoy. If you donate $2,000, we'll put your name in the credits at the end of every episode of the show. We'll also do an hour-long Zoom call with you, me, Jay, and 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗞𝗦, where you can pick our brains about anything from true crime to the paranormal, and we'll also give you access to a roundtable Q&A Q&A session after the premiere of the series, where we'll sit in front of you guys for about 2 to 3 hours, take questions from everybody, and have a thorough chat about our findings at the end of this process. For a donation of $2,500, you'll once again get your name in the credits, but you can also pick a piece of clothing like the ones that are on screen right now that were worn in some of the most popular episodes of the Paranormal Files. Author 𝗟𝗜𝗡𝗞𝗦 is also putting his outfit that he wore in the Hulu docuseries Children of the Snow on this tier as well, so you can pick and choose which piece you'd like to receive. If you donate $3,000, you'll get your name in the credits and a 3-hour-long true crime masterclass with 𝗟𝗜𝗡𝗞𝗦, where he'll teach you the ins and outs of investigating, researching, and reporting upon famous crimes. If you're an aspiring true crime writer or researcher, this would definitely be a great opportunity to learn from someone who definitely knows what he's doing. If you're so kind as to donate $4,000, you'll be in the credits of the film, and we'll also send you a signed Polaroid from every location that we film at throughout the production of the series. This will be at least 6 different Polaroids taken in 3 different countries, but it will most likely end up being somewhere around 20 Polaroids from all the different buildings and locations that we feature in the show. If you're so kind as to donate $5,000, we will give you an executive producer credit on the entire show, all 6 episodes. We will ask you for feedback throughout the editing process of the show, and we'll also invite you to a Zoom call where you can help critique the show as it's in its infancy stage. So if you have a suggestion for the editing, the color correction, the sound design, anything, this would be your chance to put your stamp on the series and offer some sort of creative contribution. If you're so kind as to donate $5,000, you can also get access to a different tier. If you donate that much, I personally will fly myself out to the location of your choice, and we can spend the entire night ghost hunting together. You can film this thing for your YouTube channel if you have a channel. We can create content for any social media platform you'd like to create content for, or we could just spend the day and night hanging out. It doesn't really matter, but I'll come to you for a full day. If you're generous enough to donate $7,500, 𝗟𝗜𝗡𝗞𝗦 will invite you for a day in Detroit, where he'll spend the entire day taking you throughout the city and the surrounding areas, showing you every single location from the Oakland County child killing spree. He'll bring you to the location where the bodies were found. He'll take you on walking tours through some of the most notorious parts of the city. And if you're a true crime junkie and you're as obsessed with these stories as I am, this is a once-in-a-lifetime experience with the author of the book that serves as the Bible on the case. And finally, I know this is a long shot, but if you want to donate $10,000 to this project, which we would be so grateful for, you can choose one of 2 rewards. A, I will personally fly you out to film an episode of the Paranormal Files with my entire family and I. That includes my parents, Connor, all flights and lodging and food. Everything will be paid for, so all you'll have to do is show up to the airport. We'll fly you out, pick you up, and involve you in a ghost hunt at one of the nation's most notorious haunted locations. Plus, that episode will be turned into an episode of the Paranormal Files, so you'll be seen by all the hundreds of thousands of people who love this show. Or for that $10,000 donation, 𝗟𝗜𝗡𝗞𝗦 will give you access to and copies of all of the research that he used to write the book The Kill Jar, and all of the research and documents that he's going to use to write this next book. This is over 100,000 pages of documents relating to these cases that took years to procure through Freedom of Information Act requests, knowing the right people, looking through resources, looking through libraries himself. This is an extensive collection of information, and if you want to do something with this case, if you'd like to make your own documentary series or write a book about this stuff, this is essentially like the holy grail of information on this whole thing. So anyways, those are our tiers. Those are all really incredible rewards that you can get access to if you'd like to donate. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, this is something that I am incredibly passionate about and something that needs to happen. So our goals for this documentary series are to film it, to self-edit it, and hopefully we can raise enough of a ruckus about these things that convictions are handed down, that people are held accountable, that governments around the world at least admit that they played a part in the operation of some of these rings. This is really damning stuff, and we're going to definitively prove that these things were real, that these governments were in on this stuff, and that we, the people, have been lied to for far too long. And then on top of that, like I said, 𝗟𝗜𝗡𝗞𝗦 is working on a book which is going to serialize this entire process of us investigating these crimes, the work that we've already put into this thing, his experiences from the past, his experiences from his previous investigations, thorough notes and deep dives into these cases that are going to go much deeper than we can go with the documentary series, because there's just so much information here. So by helping fund this project, you're helping to get 2 creative works produced: a whole documentary series and a nonfiction book that is going to put a spotlight on the problem that is rings that continues to haunt the population of the world. And seriously, y'all, whether you donate $10,000 or $40, I cannot thank every single person that is going to help out in advance, because this is incredibly important to me. This is going to be my debut documentary series, working with real cameras with a real crew. I've already filmed an entire documentary film, which I haven't even announced yet, but that was a whole project that took place last summer that we've been working through post-production. So that's a whole different thing, and it also involves a ring like this. But this documentary series is going to be big, and we really need your help to make this happen. So if you want to donate, if you want to sign up to back the project, I'm going to be putting a link in the description of this video and in a pinned comment. All of us behind the lens here really appreciate you even thinking about helping us out for a single moment. I do want to state none of this is going to be paranormal. This is all going to be just straight up investigative journalism, confronting these real life evils and staring them in the face and exposing the stuff. But please consider helping us out. Anyways, thank you for listening to my little spiel, and I'll see you again soon.
We are definitely considering it.
So
I'm
at
gonna
one
talk to my
point, we
people.
wanted to investigate the locations where these things were said to have happened. We investigated the Elm guest house, and I knew I had to go to the Grafton Close Children's Home, where there were so many allegations of victimization of children, things that had happened there over decades, and documented proof that those things did happen. This place was called a house of horrors by the children that suffered and lived there, and we knew that we had to visit. And this is when I think a higher power came down and just did something for me that's indescribable. Take a look. So we've now come down to southwest London. We're about 20 minutes from the Elms guest house at the former Grafton Close boys home. Now, this property behind us was a boys home that was run by the local government. There were children that would be taken and placed in this home from broken backgrounds, impoverished families. They came from households that already were filled with the neglect. And unfortunately, when they arrived here at the home, the real nightmare was beginning, because decades later, it was revealed that there was a ring operating inside of these buildings. The perpetrators in this specific ring included a Catholic priest, a care manager who was managing the boys in the home, teachers that worked here. It was a systemic system of a vile, sickening shit that was going on here. There have been loads of boys that have come forward and said they were here, and for decades the government did not listen. Fortunately, survivors have seen some justice come from this in the last decade. There have been some convictions, and those convictions have included the convictions of men who were confirmed to have visited the Elms guest house in the past. So you have a ring that's running right here at this boys home 20 minutes away from the Elms guest house. You have men connected to the guest house that are arrested for being that worked here, and you have loads of boys claiming that they were trafficked from this boys home 20 minutes up the road to the Elms guest house. All of this evidence connecting, and there's so much evidence here, and yet officially none of that ever happened. It's eerie to think places like this get turned into apartments and people move in and they start to forget, but the building just has a evil kind of patina look to it and a vibe, you know? And it's fucking crazy to think of the absolutely disgusting, vile, horrific things that happened right here. Kids that could have been removed from this home at the Elms guest house and then murdered that we still don't know about, that they won't acknowledge. Why is there this thing with silence in the British government? I don't know, I'm not from England, but it really seems like in this story, the government really does not want to acknowledge this stuff. Makes you wonder. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, Connor said Grafton in that Estes session. He didn't even know we were coming here.
I didn't even know what this place was.
How does this whole story make you feel, hearing it really for the first time?
It's always disturbing. I mean, any crime against a child, I feel like it makes it 100 times worse. And I mean, these are innocent kids that were already in a bad situation in life, brought to this home just to be victimized even more. It's terrible.
And then brought to the Elms guest house to be victimized again, this time by celebrities and politicians. Yeah, I'd be really curious to see what people living here have to say about all this stuff.
Honestly.
Because it's really interesting to me. But we're going to do an Estes
Yeah, there it is, Grafton Close. We're gonna do an Estes method session again in the car because these are locations we just can't get access to. These are homes that people live in, apartments. But the closest we can get is the car, and if there are spirits that witness this stuff or energies, hopefully they can talk to us like they just did.
I mean, there's a chance that the kids were loaded into the cars right here.
Yeah. Yeah. You live here. We do ghost hunting on YouTube.
Hey, listen, there's a lot of weird stuff that happens.
What do you mean?
Stuff that I can't explain.
Like human stuff?
Nah, like fucking paranormal shit.
Really?
Moving and shit. You know, weird things in the house and stuff. Weird.
Wow.
I've lived here for about 5 years.
Now, this might sound crazy. Would you ever let us come in for like 20 minutes?
I mean, I wouldn't say tonight.
This is we're going to Manchester tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're literally going to Manchester tomorrow, and then we're going to France, and then going back to America. It's interesting you say that, though.
Yeah.
Colin Brown,
Yeah.
I was watching you last night on YouTube.
No
I
way.
just heard you out the window. Oh my god.
That is crazy. You live here?
Yeah, I live here.
No way.
Oh my god, my heart is beating. Why are you here?
Apparently there's some weird stuff happening on the block.
I'll tell Connor to...
Oh, you can't, you two
My
can...
heart is pounding. I got...
You just saw that correctly. I was talking to somebody, so I was standing outside of the Grafton Close Children's Home, talking to somebody who lived in an apartment up there. He asked what I was doing with the camera, and I was explaining that I was ghost hunting. And then this woman came running out of the building and said, Colin. She recognized me by my voice, and said she had just been watching an episode of the Paranormal Files inside of her apartment, and she had her window open, and she heard my voice talking to this guy. So she ran out and we connected. And at that point I asked her, you know, we've been dying all night to just get into one of these locations and try to access this energy and get some legitimate answers in this journey, in this investigation. Is there any way that you would let us come inside to investigate inside of the property where these children who were being victimized were being taken from and trafficked? And she said yes. All right, so in a crazy twist of events, one of the neighbors here at the Grafton School, the former building, actually poked his head out of the window and kind of asked what we were doing outside. I ended up having a whole conversation with him, and somebody who watches our videos, who lives here in the building, came out, said hi, and is allowing us to do an Estes method session inside of her apartment. She doesn't want to be on camera because it's kind of late here, and I think we woke her up, our loud ramblings. But her name's Carly. She's amazing and made this happen, so shout out to Carly. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this.
It's honestly absolutely crazy that we were talking on the way over here. If only we were able to get into one of these places.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy. We just filmed a documentary that it's going to be my first feature film, and it's about a similar subject. But in that documentary, we had a very similar situation happen where we wanted to get into this place that nobody's ever photographed that has a key role in this ring, and the guy who lived in the apartment happened to be walking by at the moment that we were filming and talking about it, and he let us in. So I think that it's God and some sort of the energy that brings us here, because it's crazy. And now you get to see kind of the space and how big these rooms would have been where these boys were. And unfortunately, these would have been the rooms.
My name is George.
Where boys were sized and raped and tortured. It was a terrible thing that was happening here. But these boys, to reiterate, have all testified they were trafficked to the Elms guest house. This is f***ing crazy.
Honestly.
This is so crazy. So
it's like the story wants to be told.
something is helping us tell this story right now. Some force or power.
More to the history.
There you have it.
Sextet, bridegroom, buggy, campaign, frugal, cockpit, sextet. Transmissible, like a disease. Alright. So you can see these are
pretty big rooms, but this is the original building, so this is where all the would have happened. All right, man.
All right.
Well, he said his name's George. So real quickly to whoever's here, Carly's here with us in the background. So she's welcomed us into her space. And if there are any spirits here, we would really like to speak with you. Alum, like alumni. It's a weird school word to get. But
If you're here, we're not going to try to hurt you. We just want to tell your story. You don't have to be afraid of us. We're not the bad guys. My name's Connor.
my name's Colin, and we're gonna do this thing called an Estes method. So if you're here, just try to use your voice and speak out loud, and we might be able to hear you. So if you can hear our questions, there's a thick energy in here.
Something good is going to happen.
Well,
something good is going to happen.
all right, buddy.
All
Put it
right.
on. To whoever's here, you said your name was George before. I am here to ask any spirits or energies about the...
I'll tell you what you want.
Thank you. I want to talk about the former Grafton's Close boys' school and the sexual that was happening here.
Describe the writing.
That's weird because the first thing you said on here was blue book. I didn't get the word. Weedle? Is your name George? Or
12 chaps. Checked in.
are you saying that there were 12 boys here?
This place is home.
Are you saying that those 12 chaps were abusers or were they victims?
The children worked hard. At school. Why did they do that?
Yeah, if there aren't any children here, I would like to ask you about the that was happening inside of this building.
And the murder?
Wow. Wow.
Yes, that is crazy that you mentioned murder. Were there students that were murdered, even if it was made to look like a in the past? Is that true? Did students die in natural deaths here while the was happening?
It was believable.
How many abusers?
It wasn't a party.
How many abusers here got away?
Box.
I cry.
I'm so sorry to hear that. How many of the abusers got away with it? Do you have an approximate number of men?
In terms of trouble?
What about the Elms Guest House? Do you recognize that place, that name?
27? The river?
27. 27 Rocks Lane.
Tediously.
That 27 is the house number of
Yeah, baby.
of Elms Guest House. Were there children that were taken to that house from this location? Do you remember that? Or do you know anything about that?
It was a regiment.
You mean like a group of men that would take these boys there? Is that what you're referring to?
A job.
It was these men's job to bring these boys over?
Precisely.
Oh, that's crazy.
Scott.
Did these boys ever mention, or these abusers ever mention a place called 𝗗𝗡𝗡𝗞𝗦?
And the summer.
Again with the summer. Said that last time.
Australian dollars.
Look below.
Said, look
And
below.
when she feels me.
Is there...
Vanished.
Vanished and look below. Are there bodies buried somewhere on this campus? turnaround. Maybe a child who was murdered
Oh my days.
during this abuse. Is that possible? Is that true?
Built a home.
He doesn't like you.
Built a home on top of a body? Or bodies? Is that what you're saying?
The BBC. I remember. Jimmy.
Oh. Jimmy.
A market.
Exeter. Pretty sure it's a community here. Are you talking about Jimmy Savile? Is that the Jimmy you're referring to?
He did.
He did what? Jimmy Savile was a terrible human being. What are you referring to? And I know Jimmy visited tons of schools and places. Did he ever visit this place to assault boys?
I remember.
Contract.
What do you remember? Just tell me what you remember.
Detritus.
Detritus. What do you remember?
Alcohol.
Hurting.
Oh, fuck. Alcohol and hurting. That's something that the boys have all talked about.
Elusive man.
They were given alcohol. They woke up in pain. A lot of them don't remember the assaults. Elusive man. Can you give me any idea of who the man or men were that were the boys or taking them to the 27 Rocks Lane? Anything about their job, their names?
The masks.
They were wearing masks.
Crazy.
Crazy masks. Victor. Well, that's a little f***ing creepy. Can you describe these masks that these
Like hell.
Wait and see.
like hell, like a
Wait and see.
demon, Satan, satanic
Thursday
mask?
morning.
Lather.
Well, it is Thursday morning right now. So these men, are you talking about some of the like the murders? These men would wear these weird masks? Because that is interesting. Some of the photos that were taken inside of the Elms guest house, these men were dressed up in weird costumes and shit with the children. So that's kind of really bizarre. Connor doesn't even know that.
We're working there. Having a little fun.
I really want to confirm, because this is the best we can do. Winery. Were children brought from this campus to the Elms guest house, 27 Rocks Lane? Were they brought there for the purpose of
The government.
the government postmaster? The f***? There's a cool chill that just came in here too. Could be from the window.
They took me over. And the thunder.
So the postmaster, the government, those people took you over, I'm assuming, to the house that we're talking about?
So much heartache.
Lexicography.
Lexicography? Shit.
I suggest.
Is this the spirit of someone who was a boy who was murdered? Can you tell me that? Why are you still here inside of this building?
Can't go over.
But why is what I'm asking. Why can't you?
Undiscovered.
I feel very lonely.
Undiscovered, like they never found your body? Is that what you're talking about?
Abandoned.
Abandoned. RIP. R.I.P. Well,
Their office nearby.
is there anything else you can tell me? My battery just suddenly went to 0. It's about to die. Is there anything else you can tell me about this place, the King Cora?
The heartaches.
This definitely is a place of heartache and sadness and just terribleness. There's nothing else you can tell me?
The answers in storage.
Could be the files. Are there government documents or lists that could prove this stuff that has never been seen by the public?
Son.
Huh. The bill is there.
Olivia.
Olivia? Pontification? I don't know some of these words. Alright, my camera's about to die. It's clinging on to life. Do you have anything else that you can tell us about this scandal?
You got it.
Alright, well...
You got it.
Thank you for talking to us. This has been really eye-opening. And I really hope that you find peace one day. And if you are a murder victim whose body has never been found, that's really disturbing and sad stuff. And
that's all I got.
What the fuck? Hopefully.
Postman.
What? No f***ing way. A different device? Postman and postmaster and government? Yo, that is f***ing crazy as hell.
Organized crime.
What? Yo, that's nuts.
He's drunk.
So the postman...
Demonic.
The postman is in on this. What the fuck? That's crazy. Alright, well, thank you. I really have to pause this.
People have written their names and stuff, but it's like, okay, so when were you here? Do you know what I mean?
What are those names? Paula? Or
Pauline?
Pauline?
Because I've been here 16 years and there's never been anyone of that name here. And there weren't any kids here when I moved in either, so you just sort of think,
That's really strange.
My whole life's situations that make me think,
Yeah.
What the f*** does this say? I think it says Paul, but...
Yeah.
Pauline.
I don't see the E or the N. I think definitely Paul.
And then there's an A. Yeah, there's an A as well.
Wait, show that one more time. There's an A. Now, it would be really interesting to go back and look at our footage and see if we got
any
a Paul or something.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is just so crazy. That is a case in my mind of a higher power being real, something coming down and aligning things to happen so that these things are possible, so that like this documentary is possible, that scene in the documentary was possible, that access was possible. I've had that happen multiple times when doing these videos exposing these predators, and especially with my big feature film that I've been working on. We had multiple things like that that were too weird to even describe, which has shaped my newer belief in what a higher power looks like and what exactly it is. But that was just crazy, and I can't thank her enough for letting us in. But we still knew that this whole thing wasn't over. So we decided to head to one last place to investigate. And this would dig up some insanely dark connections and disturbing knowledge. We knew we had to go to Dolphin Square. The very last location that we've come to tonight is a very, very infamous apartment complex here in Westminster. This is the headquarters, really, of the English government, the British government. Westminster Abbey's down here. We're near Buckingham Palace. The Houses of Parliament and Big Ben are about 4 minutes down the road. This apartment complex behind me is called Dolphin Square. Now, there was a book published recently about this entire affair, and they were attacked by a lot of critics who claim that all this is just a load of malarkey. None of it happened. But the authors, I read interestingly earlier today, posted a whole article on their page saying essentially what they said was that people might not believe in the whole conspiracy, but they cannot deny what was happening here at Dolphin Square. These are very seedy apartments that are owned by the uber rich. MPs have lived here, heads of spy agencies. There are a lot of different controversies that have unfolded in these halls, but the biggest one, and the one that we're right on the nose of, is the VIP ring. A lot of the kids testified that they were brought to Dolphin Square and they were brought up to these apartments owned by the uber rich and the politicians and these elite people, and they were then inside of these apartments at different parties by different men. And this is where a lot of confirmed activity has happened. That's what the article, like I was just mentioning, was stating, that even if you don't believe in the conspiracy, there are arrest reports, there are convictions, there are criminals tied through paperwork to this building. So if there's a spot that really is gonna hold some secrets, Dolphin Square is one of those spots. But just like every other place, it's not a publicly accessible location. These are apartments, privately owned flats here. You can't even get in. The doors are like blocked off right there, so we can't even really walk inside of it. We're gonna sit out here and do a final Estes method session, but I will say it's got an eerie vibe to it. There are just certain buildings, like this building, not
A little bit.
a little eerie, but I mean, this just looks, I mean, it's just so dark. Why are so many windows? I mean, I get that it's nighttime, but it's eerie when you think about just like going into all those rooms and they're like pitch black right now. All right, let's finish this out.
Wow.
Hey everybody, it's Colin here. Thank you for watching today's video. Hello to all the new subscribers and hello to the rest of our beautiful, wonderful, spooky family. As you know, every single week here on the channel, we give away a free gift bag to one lucky viewer of the show. And this week, to enter the contest, all you have to do is like today's video, let's smash that like button, and comment conspiracy in the comment section below. I'm gonna give y'all 10 seconds to do this now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
7,
5,
6,
4,
5,
3,
4,
2,
3,
1.
2.
So go
1.
comment. You can comment multiple times. It helps the video so much. But anyways, let's get back to today's video. Thank you for listening to my little spiel. I love you guys so much, and stay spooky.
Are any of the victims
Stuck here.
that were assaulted here at the Dolphin Square?
VIII.
Are any of them connected to Elm's guest house?
Me? Make you come? I hate it.
Can you tell me what your name is?
Confident Kenny.
Kenny?
Confident
Sebaceous.
Kenny.
Can you tell me if you remember going to Elm's guest house? Handicappy.
It was a playroom.
On the roof.
Listen up. Loads.
Were you assaulted
Dancing.
here?
They just riled me up.
Disagree.
Were you assaulted at all of these houses?
In the pubs. More than I would like. He ejected.
Can you tell me maybe one of the names of the people that were hurting you?
Yes, that's right.
Lord. Pal.
How?
Murder.
Were they murdering kids?
Not becoming.
How are they killing them?
I would assume that they were everywhere, you know. Go to the grave.
What grave?
It was a Bailey battle.
What grave?
A choked one?
There was a child that was choked?
1970s.
1970s. Do you remember what
Missing.
year? What year
Miss my mom.
you were killed?
Blood for blood. A knighted man.
Were you killed in the 1970s?
Sure.
Trauma.
Needed bowling money.
Is that how they lured you?
Born in
trauma.
67.
I mean,
Their fingers were all crusty.
were they all old men?
Of the king's order.
So they were all employees under the king?
Christ, they didn't let me. Ugh. Penis face.
Sister.
A knight.
Were any of the people... Austria. Were any of the people committing these crimes,
Sage.
were they public figures? Everybody knew them?
I'm the guy.
You're the guy?
The man of flowers.
Who's the man of flowers?
Come on.
In the dark.
Run away in the dark. Were there lots of children that were brought into this? Can you tell me?
Hey, girl.
Can you tell me how many children were involved? Mid-band.
10 under 2.
There's 10 kids under the age of 2?
Can't be bothered to.
Spacey.
So, I do want to ask.
Adults. Something bad happened.
The Elms guest house, these apartments, and the school, are they all connected?
Sobering up. It hurt.
Would they get you drunk?
Handcards.
Need trust.
Need trust. Hand cards.
Didn't want to.
So they'd get you.
They took him.
They'd get you drunk to gain your trust, and that's when they would attack you.
With Kush.
Post.
Post. What the f? What's the involvement with the post office and the Royal Mail?
He's a little devil.
We keep getting things suggesting.
Oh.
Died very recently.
Oh, I just heard a scream. Ah!
Was it a postmaster that
got lost?
Died recently?
Oh, it got lost purposefully.
And the post?
They own it, mate.
What was the significance of the post and mailing stuff?
Oh, the guy killed himself.
The postmaster
and then
killed
screaming.
himself?
I keep hearing screaming, dude. Like, ah, ah.
Persevere.
He's quite the menace. Or it could have been that, or he sent the lettuce. I don't know.
Well, if he sent the letter, that
lettuce.
would be the postman.
Patience.
Greedy in the square. That's a wrap. They filmed me. Ugh, I don't like that.
Is there anything?
Sent it through.
Is there anything you can tell us about these crimes that we could get justice for you?
Ugh, gave head.
Ugh. Who did it? Who was the mastermind?
Number.
Oh, screaming. Don't know.
Do you remember any of the names of the people?
Sir Bon Ra.
Sir Bon Ra. Who is he?
Oh, church music. Organ.
Was he a churchman? Maybe a pastor? Wilcox.
All the MPs.
All
Boink.
the MPs. Government
Follow the
officials.
money, mate.
There's a lot of money involved with this.
We getting drunk.
Using my voice.
He let me stay up late.
Can you tell me what your
They'll
name
get
is?
you for this.
What's your name?
'Twas an operation.
Exotic.
Exalted.
Oh, I heard Jimmy again. Jimmy. Just one.
Did Jimmy Savile have a connection? Was he also assaulting these kids?
Oh, yes, man. Money.
So Fisher.
He'll break my spine.
So they were murdering and sexually these
What do you
children?
think? A violent prick? Your favorite celebs are in it.
How many children were involved? Waterbury.
Nobody knows. 14.
What else can you tell us? Can you tell us what happened to you? Were you murdered?
Right nearby. Say another prayer. Aggressive.
You must leave.
A foreign policy leader.
Did it happen in these apartments right here?
I'll show you up, mate. Come on in.
I wish we could, but we can't. Spiral.
The office space.
Razor.
Oh, another scream. Kill himself?
Will we ever be able to get someone convicted of what happened to these children?
Fortune.
Fortune.
And he's rich, mate.
He's rich, mate. Fortune. So these people.
Senator Raymond.
I don't know much about the case, so I don't know much about the names. But, I mean, fortunate rich man.
Woof, woof.
Harpsichord. Were these, like, rituals that were being done?
Here, piggy, piggy. The mask.
What about a mask? Were the men wearing masks? Querulous. Were the men wearing masks, so that's why you
There was a camera.
can't tell you what they were or who they were? They filmed all these assaults?
You're talking an event.
Mahogany.
Children.
Who received these films?
The bench.
You need to go now.
Where do we need to go?
They're watching you from above. And this dude, the screams are so creepy, man. It's like, ah! I keep hearing it.
Take the blame. I'm not gonna take the blame for what these guys did.
Keep digging.
And you shouldn't either. You shouldn't take the blame for what happened.
So much guilt.
Don't feel guilty.
I'm never using that number again.
Good.
Help 38.
We're trying to help as much as we can. We're trying to tell your story.
Man.
Because your voice was taken from you.
At 27.
At 27?
He just used to walk up.
At 27 Rocks? The Elms house?
Hello, my friend.
Car.
Who's this? We are in a car.
They knew about it.
Who knew about it? The police?
The whole lot.
That's why.
Major.
That's why they were able
Torture.
to possess, torture.
Major.
War.
So they were able to keep all this stuff from the police because the police already knew about it. Is that true?
It hurt so much.
I'm really sorry that that happened to you.
Kensington.
Help me. Doll.
Help me, doll.
I tried so hard not to care.
Is there anything else you can tell us?
There's a group of us.
A group of kids?
Yep.
We're gonna try to talk to some of the victims that did make it out. And see
Awesome. Great talking.
See if we can get them to help us. But we don't want your story to go unnoticed.
Friend.
We care about the things that happened to you. And we want to stop that from happening to other kids.
Alright.
Is there anything else you want to tell us before we go?
3rd floor.
3rd floor?
The Sanderson high-low.
Anything else?
Checking the wall. It's a sensation.
There's things... Urinary. There's things inside of the walls at Elm's house?
The wood. Knock.
A and P.
Cursed land.
Alright, well, we're gonna get going. Thank you so much for talking to us. We're really sorry about what happened to you.
Toasty.
And we don't want this to ever happen again to other kids. Oh my god.
1990s.
Raymond.
Holy shit.
There's a lot. Hopefully, when you know way more about this case, so you might be able to make more connections. But some freaky shit.
Dude, I was straight up in like a trance. Oh, that like almost made me dizzy. How long was that?
20 minutes.
Really? Holy shit. That's crazy. I didn't think that it was that long. Well, good stuff though.
Yeah.
I'll go review the footage later. I will go. All right, man. Once again, another video with answers. Kind of. All right.
At the end of the day, the Elm Guest House is just that, a house. There are no memorials to victims, There's no official recognition of the evil acts that unfolded inside of the home. It's just a building, and the people who committed those crimes still walk freely amongst the British public. This is a story that should infuriate you. It's a story that should inspire you to take action. But what can we do?
Take action.
What can an average citizen do to fight back against the oppressors, the authorities who help enable these horrible criminals, the predators that call themselves your kings, queens, royal family, and elected officials? I don't necessarily know. In fact, I don't have an easy answer for you. But we can start with informing people, teaching people, and talking about this stuff. The more we talk about these things, the louder that we get about them, the more likely it is that there will eventually be some sort of a change. But until that happens, the Elm Guest House in London will remain one of the most evil places on planet Earth, a place shrouded in mystery, conspiracy, and total darkness.
Wow, wow, wow. It seems like to me, the higher you want to get up, the more of a secret you can get. The higher you want to get up in rank in anything, the government, the military, your job, the more secrets you have to keep. You have to show the world, you got to show people that you can keep a secret. The deeper the secrets are, the higher or the faster you will move up. This is what I'm getting from this whole thing. I'm going to show my people a certain clip about the tears he was talking about, and I'm hoping to get to at least $1,000 or $2,000 tear. We don't have no budget for no $10,000, and I ain't trying to fly nowhere to see. I ain't trying to see nothing. I ain't trying to see no spooky stuff in the first place. But again, I think that the people who are sick, I'm just going to call it sick. If you want to hurt kids in any kind of way, you are sick. If you want to hurt people in any kind of way, you are sick. And these people get higher in the government because other sick people say, well, I want you to be high in the government because me and you got something in common. That way I can help you do all this stuff. And if I get in trouble, you got my back. Yeah. So, and it's difficult for us to actually catch these people because, number one, they hop in the government, and number two, they don't have any rules to go by. See, in order to put somebody in jail, you got to make sure you plan everything by the rules, man. And that's where I think the real street thugs and people in the street can come in and help, because they don't have no rules in the streets. So got to break a couple of rules, man, to catch these people. That's all I'm saying. I'm a strong believer in that. Look here, I'm going to get on up out of here. Hey, y'all take it light, take it slow. Y'all tell them Uncle Mike told you so. Peace out.